Can you believe it? I've been doing marketing for 20 years. So many, I can't even hold up my hands on how many years. And I've learned some really important things that you need to know about. Hey everyone, I'm Patel, and today I'm going to break down 20 years of marketing, the 7 most important lessons I learned. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to this channel, and if you're on YouTube, click the alert notification. Now you've been doing marketing for a while, or you're a business owner, or you're just getting started in marketing. Now question for you, what's the most important lesson you learned? Leave a comment below letting me know that lesson. So let's start off with the first lesson. Start small, but look out for scale. Okay? So here's what I mean by that. When you start small, you don't want to just go into a marketing campaign and be like, I'm going to spend $1 million. I'm going to spend $10 million. I know that's an extreme example, but depending on your budget, it could be, I'm going to spend 10 grand. I'm going to spend 5 grand. Whatever it may be, if you start too fast, what I found is most people fail. Even at my size, and I'm not the biggest company, but we're a large corporation, depending on how you define it, or we at least have over 500 employees. When you think about my company, we can spend millions of dollars on marketing. Heck, I was spending 100 grand a month on TV ads. But you know what? And that was just for fun, and it wasn't driving really any conversions. But you know what? When we're thinking about scale, typically, I start off small. When I mean small, I'm talking not 5,000, not 10,000. I usually start off less than $1,000 even at our size, and I try to see what works. It doesn't mean I won't ramp up the next day to 10,000 or 100,000, but I really try to start off small to try to figure out what works. Now, if I'm paying for services or hiring an agency, it's a little bit different because someone's creating a plan for me and then executing on it. But if I'm doing it myself, I try to start off small because just because a channel or a tactic worked for a competitor, it doesn't mean it works for me. So I try to start off small. Some channels, when you're starting off small, you may have to start off at a bigger dollar amount and then it can scale up from there. But that's the first lesson I learned, because every time I just go knee deep and start big, I usually just waste money and time. Well, when I start off small, it quickly gives me signals of, hey, this could potentially work. This is working. Or this is a waste of time and you should move on to something else for now. And that saves you so much time. The second lesson I ended up learning, my biggest skill set, and my buddy Eric always talks about this, is I execute extremely fast. Speed is everything. I used to wait for my website to be perfect, my copy to be perfect. And I learned this from Frank Kern. He's an amazing copywriter, and he once told me, Neil, it's not about how well your copy is written. It's better to have copy that's customized for every different approach than it is to have perfectly well-written copy. In other words, he even broke it down even simpler, saying it's better to have some copy than nothing. And even if you have really well-written copy, it doesn't mean it's going to convert. So I focus on executing fast and then adapting and A/B testing and tweaking to make it better over time. It's just like a website design. Everyone's like, oh, I'm going to release a new website. We don't do that. We just continually A/B test our websites until we come up with the perfect variation, and then you can have someone tweak the designs and make sure it works, but that's the model we use. The third one, learn from your mistakes. Look, I don't care if you're Elon Musk. Doesn't matter how smart you are, we all make mistakes. Elon Musk sent rockets into space. But do you know what happened with some of the first rockets? It went up and it came down. Elon Musk is smarter than me. Just because some of his rockets didn't go up into space doesn't mean he's not smart or successful. We all know he already is. He can do anything I do 10 times better. But here's the thing. I don't care who you are, you're going to make a mistake, but learn from it. Elon eventually got his rockets into space. Why? Because he learned from the mistakes and continually adapted. He didn't give up. He just more so learned from his mistakes and keep using the learnings to his advantage. In marketing, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. When I first started out my career when I was a 16-year-old kid, keep in mind I was really young, I'd be like, Black Hat SEO, what's this? Let's try it. Oh, cool, I'm ranking at top, making money. Now, times are changing. I would never recommend anyone to do that. I was a foolish 16-year-old kid. I wish I had a time machine. I can go back in time and tell myself, don't do that again. The next lesson, hire people who have done it before. This one I actually didn't learn until roughly a year ago. So the way I usually built my businesses is you build a business, you keep learning from your failures and mistakes, and then you just keep at it. And you just keep going, you execute fast, and hopefully things work out. But what I learned, and this took me a long time to learn, there's other people out there who have been where I am. There's other people out there who have been where I want to be, which is even better. And they've solved the problems for my competitors. And if they've worked for not just one competitor, but two competitors, and they've done it multiple times successfully before, then what I do is I go to them and I try to hire those people and poach them from my competition. Because if they were successful once at what you're trying to solve, let's say I'm looking for a CEO who's built a big ad agency, and my ad agency, NP Digital, is one of the fastest growing ad agencies out there. I don't deserve the credit for that. My team deserves the credit for that. They're the ones who created it, not me. And the way they did it is I hired people who did it before. So my CEO, Mike Gullickson, he was running operations at iCrossing, which was an ad agency that got acquired by hers. Then he was the CEO of Cavario, which was the ad agency that got acquired by iProspect, which is a company owned by Dentsu. And then he became the president of iProspect and helped them grow even more. So when I was looking for a CEO who knew how to build, a much bigger business, $100 million, $1 billion business, etc., I looked for someone who has already done it before, hire them, and when I hired him, my business started growing faster. Instead of me learning from my mistakes, he already knew what mistakes to avoid. Instead of me having to worry on execution and getting stuff done, he already knew people who could execute on each and every single marketing task or business task faster and better than me because they've done it before. That's the key to hiring people who have done it before. But remember, they had to done exactly what you're looking to do, not once, but twice successfully before. Because once could always be luck, twice means they're usually good. And when they've done it twice, look at those companies, look at their LinkedIn profile. Did they continually get promotions at those companies? Because if they did, someone else saw them to be valuable and they must have done well to get those promotions. So the chances are they're done it twice and got promotions in those previous companies, they can do it a third time. Next one, be consistent. Look, I can't tell you how many times that people would have had a massive business and done well in their marketing if they were just consistent. If you're consistent, you'll do well. Great example of this is my blog. I do well on neilpatel.com, better than most marketing blogs because I've just done it for longer and I don't give up. Next lesson, build a brand. Nike, BMW, American Express, Airbnb. You don't see these companies from just being out there and not doing anything. They build brands. Even when you look at new companies like FTX, the crypto exchange company, they built a brand. And they built it and they're focused on it because they realize the power of it. People make purchasing decisions based off the brand. You look at MLB umpires, they have an FTX logo. You look at the Miami Heat arena, it's no longer the Miami Heat arena, it's the FTX arena. You go look at Lewis Hamilton, Mercedes Formula One driver, you'll see FTX there. So when you constantly put your brand and associate it with influencers or other trustworthy elements or other things that people are paying attention to, it helps build a brand and that builds longevity. Last but not least, make it easy for people to buy from you. If you make it hard, no one's going to really buy from you. PayPal, Shopify Pay, these are all solutions that make it really easy. When we implemented PayPal on our checkout page for Uber Suggest, did you know we got roughly an 18% increase in conversions? Literally, all we did is add PayPal as a payment option. Now, more than 18% of our customers use PayPal, but before PayPal, literally if we got 100 conversions, we ended up with 118 after PayPal. Now, what portion you pay through PayPal or pay through other sources like credit card using Stripe or Adyen or anything like that, it varies, but just adding PayPal as a payment option because it's super simple, roughly 18% increase. If you need help with your marketing, you want to succeed, you want someone who's done it there before and can help you grow, check out my ad agency, NP Digital. If you enjoyed the video, like it, share it, tell people about it. Thank you for watching.